Hello, I am your host, Mike Bankhead. I am a bass player and songwriter from Dayton, Ohio. Today's episode sees the first two-time guest. I have Rich Reuter back on the podcast, and this time, instead of talking about a remix of one of my songs, which is what we talked about last time, no, I am promoting something that Rich did, a new piece of art that you can hear about on the You Could Be My Aramis podcast. Rich has a new EP ready to go, and this is where you get a chance to hear about it. Let's get to the conversation. Hey there, Rich Reuter. Welcome back.
Hey, how are you?
Tired, which is my standard answer when people ask me that these days.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not you, it's me. How are you today?
Much the same. I just got done with a full day of tracking at Real Love Recording.
Oh, well, you can't open the conversation with that and not expect me to, have you spend 5 minutes talking about that.
Oh, no, I fully expected the early flood. But yeah, so broke ground on the full-length follow-up to my album, The Captain. So this is, as I think I said on your last podcast, the imaginatively titled The Captain 2.
You did?
And so, yeah, broke ground on that today with Patrick and David behind the controls. And then I had Josh Johnson play some drums and Eric Wright play some percussion. And the two of them just, got into the room and knocked out 6 tunes in a very short amount of time, leaving me enough time to kind of lay down some bass and a little bit of keys and things like that. And I think I'm scheduled for a full day tomorrow. So I think we'll do some, keys and guitars, finish up the bass. So I don't know. Yeah, it's moving quickly because it's all stuff that I had sort of demoed out early on. That really kind of helps, have some of this stuff nailed down early. But yeah, I'm just trying to get the basic tracks down, get as much of the song together as I can. While I've got a few sessions scheduled with Patrick, and then I'll have to kind of figure out what to do from there, whether I'm going to mix it or have Patrick mix it, or I think I'm going to record some of the stuff at home. I was planning on doing the bass at home, but then we had some extra time, and then they brought out the Ampeg Portaflex, and I was like, oh, this sounds pretty good. So we got through
yeah, that amp is fun.
And that's the thing. That's kind of one of the many reasons you go to a professional, is that they sometimes have much better toys than you, and it's really fun to play. Especially good old vintage gear like that. It sounds great.
I'm officially jealous at the speed at which you can get this done. Just because personally I have limitations that don't enable me to track that fast. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it's just kind of, Eric and Josh were really on it today. I mean, they've been playing together for decades, and they just play so well together. And, Patrick and David had them dialed in and sounded great. So it's just I think they just hit a nice stride, and a couple of the songs we had played all together, Eric had played most of them. And it's all kind of styles that they're really good at. And, they did the work. I mean, they put the demos out early, and they were studying them, and, kind of knew what they wanted to do going into it. So they just kind of showed up and were awesome. And we really kind of plowed through them. So it was great. I think there's still one, if not two more songs that drums will need to be tracked for, but I'm still kind of messing with the material for those. So I'm just trying to move forward with the 6 tracks that I know are more finished. So I'm moving forward on those, and then I'll, I guess, circle back on the other ones.
It's good to have nice help.
Yeah.
So you started tracking a new album when you haven't even released the one that you're here to talk about yet. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I've been wanting to do The Captain 2 for a very long time. And I figured I'd just, break ground on it and just go for it. And that, because the album that we're here to talk about, Endless Parade, I had that wrapped up pretty much at the beginning of January. So that gave me January. I spent a lot of time at home just doing demos and essentially just, putting together scratch versions with, I use a program called Addictive Drums to, pick out some beats that sort of sound like what I want it to sound like. try and build a quick version of the song that shows what it's going to be like. So I did a lot of that in January. So that, and combined with past live recordings of songs, I was able to, amass the demos that I needed and pass them along, and here we are. So I figure by the time, this probably the second album will come out, maybe in the fall. There's no real timetable. I got nobody knocking on my door about it, so I can just kind of do it as I see fit.
You put out 2 things in 1 year. That's dangerously close to Bob Pollard territory.
I think I need another 4 times that over. Although I will say, I do have designs on, just doing more singles and maybe small digital only kind of releases. Now that I can do a lot of it at home, which I guess sort of leads into Endless Parade, which is the EP. This was my first time producing, mixing, and mastering all on my own, for the most part, and engineering as well. Everything on the album was recorded at my house, apart from the drums, which were recorded by Patrick Himes at Real Love and played by Kyle Sweeney. But other than that, everything happened at my, sitting in front of my computer. And I just been getting into recording, over the last couple of years, and this was a really good opportunity to sort of put those skills to the test and actually put something out that was of my own.
So this episode, we're talking on Saturday, February 12th, and this episode is going to set the record thus far for my podcast for the quickest turnaround, because you, dear listener, are listening to this on Wednesday. I mean, if you're listening to this the day it is released. Let me rephrase that. This podcast episode is being released on Wednesday morning, February 23rd. So let's pretend like we're on February 23rd right now, Rich. Hey, Rich, what's happening tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, I will be releasing Endless Parade, a new EP of 4 original songs. I'll be playing a set at the Yellow Cab Showcase along with some friends, and just kind of doing a sort of relaxed, low-key release of the EP, which is available online streaming. It'll be available on bandcamp.com on the day of the 24th, and I'll be getting it into regional stores as well. And by regional, I mean Omega.
Yeah, Omega is the mecca for Dayton record bars.
I mean, we've had a good fortune, a lot of really cool stuff popping up, like Skeleton Dust and Blind Rage, and there's I can't remember the name, but there's a new one that just popped up in Troy that looks good and need to get out to. So they're starting to sprout up record stores, which is great.
So if I come to your show tomorrow night, that means I could walk out with a CD.
You could. Well, you will, since you were on it. Then I feel like the least I can do is give you one.
That's very nice of you to say, but I was trying to pretend like I was a stranger. I was trying to do the promotion thing. If I was a stranger and I came to your show tomorrow night, I could walk out of there with a CD.
Absolutely, yes.
And if I were to buy it on Bandcamp, I might want to wait till March 4th, because that's Bandcamp Friday, and Bandcamp is waiving their customary cut of the artists, of what you pay artists that day. So while Bandcamp is wonderful and we love them, and Rich would love you to buy his record on Bandcamp, if you could wait till March 4th, Rich gets 100% of that money, and not like 85%.
I'm honestly, I don't begrudge Bandcamp their money in the league.
Me neither. They got to run their site.
Yeah, exactly. And the percentage they pay out are extremely fair, especially in comparison with everything else. So, I mean, I think for those of you listening, if you're not already familiar, that's a really great site to go to discover new music, outside of the mainstream, where you can purchase music and then kind of have your own personal collection of music to stream or download. And it's really like one of the best ways to keep recorded music going, just because, as you said, like the artists are getting paid and can, if with enough attention and enough people buying it, I'll actually make money for the work they've done.
Yep.
Whereas streaming, it's nice as a promotional tool, but you're literally seeing pennies, especially someone at my level where
Oh, not even pennies for me. I mean, you're getting pennies? That sounds wonderful.
I I think I got into 3, maybe 4 digits over the course of a while. With decimal points, I should have.
Yes, with decimal points.
Should point that out.
On your website page that's talking about Endless Parade, there is I don't want to use the word manifesto because that sounds really, what's a better word than manifesto to describe your essay? Essay just sounds kind of flat. Manifesto sounds a little too stirred up. Something in between.
I guess they would be liner notes, which I guess is a musical manifesto, I suppose.
I mean, they are liner notes, but to me, what you've written there is a little deeper than your typical modern liner notes, right?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of, I don't know. I don't know the official nomenclature, but it's somewhere between liner notes and a rambling Tumblr post, I guess.
I'd like you to summarize that right now for people that may not have read it like I did.
Oh, sure. It was honestly just an attempt for me to kind of communicate some additional context about the album and about the songs and kind of just what I was thinking about them. And that's basically it. I mean, it's just the theme of the album, which is a little unusual for me. It's not really something I normally truck in, but it's more kind of socio-political in nature and just a reaction to the last several years. And so I don't know. I felt like maybe that warranted a little extra information for those who are curious as to, how some of this came about or why, or just wanted a little extra perspective, I suppose.
So it wasn't just a shortcut to getting out of questions when people ask you what your songs are about?
Not entirely, no, but that, I don't know, I guess just producing content, I suppose, as well. Just, having something for people to engage with and if they're interested.
So since these songs are all kind of related to the same general theme, we could call this a context EP, or concept EP, could we not?
I suppose we could. I never really thought of it like that. I always kind of think of concept albums as having like a bit of a storyline, but it's certainly a thematic grouping for sure. I wouldn't argue with the phrase concept or concept EP.
When did you write these songs?
I know Ain't No Loving God was somewhere around, I think, October of 2020. And the other ones came later last year. And then the instrumental was sort of written a bit on the spot in December of last year.
When did you know that you wanted these songs to be their own thing and not on the Captain 2?
Just because probably they're the subject matter, not that the stuff on like the Captain or the Captain 2 are necessarily light, but they're not quite so heavy-handed with, I don't know, a more serious message. It's not something I, generally get bogged down in. So it just felt like tonally and thematically, they would have really stuck out. Especially in comparison with the rest of the material. And I think too, this was just had a limited set of sort of things to say about it, and just kind of wanted to, that it made sense to group them together.
Did it feel cathartic to say what you needed to say?
I suppose so, yeah. Yeah, I think I perhaps kind of just let a few things go that have been sort of gnawing at me, but I don't know. And that was I had hesitation in even kind of progressing with this, just because it's the kind of pervasive negativity and turmoil that's inspired this album. It's like, do you sort of in your own small way add to that by putting out maybe something contentious, or or just adding to the noise of it, at all. So I don't know. I kind of vacillated back and forth a little bit on what to do about it, but I like the songs. I think they have something to say, and I think they make sense as a piece. And, so I kind of decided to soldier forward with it and put it out and see what people thought.
Stepping back from it, which is hard to do for you, I know, because, these are your songs and these are your feelings. Doesn't it make sense that art reflects whatever is happening in the world and universe at the time the art is made?
Oh, it absolutely does. Yeah. It's just, I think it's down to each individual artist, how much they want to, or just how to express it and how vulnerable and open and they want to be, and how much they want to, kind of put their viewpoint out there in a context that may, not make it easy to do so. I don't know. I usually play it a lot safer, I guess, in terms of the lyrical content of my songs.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes this different as far as what the kind of things you normally write, which is what makes it interesting. And,
as sort of eventful as these last several years have been, I think it's very natural that, that filters through, the ideas that you express. And, I think you see it a lot across the board, like Todd Widener's Sad, Mad, Nothing,
That's a great song.
As a recent example.
Let's say I'm not me again, so I'm playing Stranger Person.
Let's say one.
I come to Yellow Cab tomorrow night, and I get your CD. And I listen to it because I have an old car that has a CD player in it, and I listen to it on the way home. What are you hoping I take away from my listening to that record?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I guess I hope that people enjoy it, but also kind of just, think about the topics that are presented, or maybe some of the ideas presented. And just, hopefully that, I don't know, perhaps makes you think or feel a certain way, or just, as any hopefully good art does, it's reflective in some way and illuminating in some way. That's kind of what you always hope for. And, I hope for that on some small level, I guess.
That's good. I am officially out of questions.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I didn't have a list. I just wanted to have a conversation. But I've everything that I wanted to talk about, we have covered, and I really want to promote the record because I think it's good.
Oh, thanks.
So, do you have anything else you'd like to say about the record? All right, we know people can come to Yellow Cab and get it. We know they can go to their local music store. We know that they can go to Bandcamp. What's your official website and your social media locations in case people want to find you?
I've got a page on Facebook. If you search for Rich Reuter, you'll find that, Reuter. RichReuter.com has links to everything. And if you ever want to send a message, that's the best way to do that. We've got that website up and running.
Excellent. So, dear listener, because this is Wednesday the 23rd, if you're prompt, tomorrow night, Yellow Cab, Thursday, February 24th. It will cost you $0 to come and watch Rich play his songs. It will cost you slightly more than $0 to pick up a copy of Endless Parade, but you should absolutely do that. Thank you very much to Rich Reuter for being my first two-time guest. Thank you very much, dear listener, for being here with me. If you live in the Dayton area and you can come to Yellow Cab tomorrow to listen to the show and get your hands on that EP, I invite you to do so. I also invite you to like the podcast, leave a review, and or subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. I'd really appreciate that. Have a lovely rest of your day.